Okay, let's get started.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Hey guys, my name is Anthony and welcome to the news of Oceania Football. And today with a very, very special guest, also got so much experience. Would you love to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity, first of all, to come on. But so I'm Lloyd Owers and I'm the technical director for the Marshall Islands.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing this.
No problem. Like I said, thank you for having me on.
So the first question is like, how did you get into football? What is your background?
For me, I've always been involved in football since I was a kid. My dad was quite a massive, heavy influence on it. Played as a kid, played into like semi-professional football as a late teens, early 20s, but always coached as well. So left school and started coaching and then went from there. So I was fortunate enough to work with like community clubs and Colchester United originally. And then it took me into working for the FA and started to build on from there with different experiences that have taken me to a few different countries and a few different roles over the time.
Okay. And also, like, I kind of like did research on your background. Like, you have like a master's in coaching.
Yeah. So I have a master's degree in performance coaching, which, to be honest, I went into study at later in life. I originally, predominantly just coaching. Like I said, with the FA, it was great. I predominantly worked with coach education and also overseeing like 5 to 11 programs. But I've worked in Canada and America and Sweden with coach education, like consultancy workshops and stuff like that. But then also came back and I worked for Oxford United, female development manager, but also overseen like their college programs. Okay. And then started to go from there and realised that I liked teaching, so I wanted to move into teaching and still be involved in football as well. So retrained as a teacher, but then also in the back of that, realised that I wanted to continue studying. So I started a master's degree in coaching, which was like a part-time whilst I still worked, and had these football roles as well. And that finished last year, the masters. But no, it was enjoyable.
Okay, that's great. And the next one is that now you're the Marshall Islands technical director. How did that even come about? And also, what is Marshall Island for people who doesn't know, basically?
I mean, it's definitely a place where I think if you look at a map, you wouldn't really pinpoint where it was straight away. It's a tiny little place full of lots and lots of different islands. There's 24 inhabited islands, but the main one is a place called Majuro, which is like the capital island.
Okay.
And that's where like the national stadium's based, for example. But there also is another big island called Kwajalein, which is host to a US military base. Okay. So that sort of links into the country where they're really US like influenced US culture.
Okay.
And because the game is growing now in the States, it's now naturally growing in the Marshall Islands as well. And that's sort of where this came about from. When I finished the masters, I realised I was going to quite miss writing. I quite enjoyed writing, so I started a blog site with weekly content a few times a week. And one of the interviews was with people from Samoa. Okay. And as it was looking into that region, it spiraled me onto then lots of different networks. And one of those guys was a guy called Shem Levi, who is the FA president for the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. And a few discussions and lots of different chats later, I was offered the role as a technical director.
Okay, wow! Like, how can I say, like, because obviously someone from England and they go into a very small island, like
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Have you ever visited there yet, or
not yet? It's so new in terms of. I was only really offered it in December, and then because of Christmas and just the logistics of it, it just didn't really start until the new year. So it is very recent. So I haven't been over yet. I will be over at some point in this year, hopefully a couple of times, because we need to deliver coach education to PE teachers to roll football out in schools. Yeah. But we also go out to do coach education for people that want to be coaches on our like youth structures and when the league formally starts. So I'll be over a couple of times, but in trying to pinpoint when exactly is a bit difficult at the moment. I mean, it looks like July, but if there's an opportunity to go out sooner than that, I will.
Okay. And obviously you're starting from scratch because they don't have a national team. They don't have a league system. Nothing really started yet. Except I've seen you're starting to build like a stadium and, you know, just other things. So what is the plans first, basically?
I mean, it's a weird one because obviously we're starting from scratch completely. Yeah. So the only thing that we do have is the near completion of the stadium. Yeah. But there's parks that are available to play and people do play the game, but it's just very informal. So it's a case of creating all structures across the country. So the first part really for us is to get school children to play it in schools. So I've created a school curriculum which is going to be rolled out across schools. PE teachers will deliver that. But then also youth structures, youth sessions, you know, open access sessions to get more children playing, but also like talent excellence pathways where if we have people that are excelling and we think that they can push on long term, then there'll be those pathways as well. But it also then means creating league structures because we have teams in like communities at the moment, but not formal. So creating like a formal league structure. And then obviously the ultimate one is the national team. So, you know, long term, we will look to have female national teams, but initially it will be the men's national team and working down because we have those people that are playing it at the moment. Now it's just formalising that national team as well and having that identity across the country. But yeah, it's a lot of projects on at the same time, but it's just a case of like prioritising which ones really. So, but the first ones are like the school and youth, and then the national team. So working from the bottom up and the top down and meeting in the middle.
Okay, that's really good. Like, I like you go in the schools, you make sure it's on part of the curriculum, so it's like a mandatory thing basically on there.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be part. So like, they play different, obviously, sports and PE and schools, which is fantastic. But just football's not one of them. So kids are now saying to parents and teachers, we want to play football, we want to play soccer, we want to play the game. So that's what we're bringing to life now and making sure that it's done in the right way with this hopefully curriculum and some ideas for the teachers that will be teaching it.
Okay, that's great. And obviously you decide to stay in the OFC because you could have choose the AFC in Asia or in CONCACAF as well. So what made you choose OFC?
I mean, the OFC is the easiest one purely because of the region it is in, where surrounding countries, surrounding nations falling under that Oceania bracket, and that's where we would fit in as well. So if you look at like Fiji, for example, obviously part of OFC, but then even closer, if you look at like Tuvalu and Kiribati, they're all the nations, and then they're not full OFC members, they're affiliate members, so they draw some funding and some support, but not the full package. But they obviously closer to where we are geographically, and that's where we believe we fit in as well in terms of OFC. But then I suppose on the flip side, you look around and you look at people are branching out to AFC. So Australia obviously moved across the last few years. But then you look at like smaller nations that are doing similar things to ourselves, like Micronesia, for example. You know, OFC wasn't really viable, so they are looking into AFC. So, I mean, long term, yeah, if OFC was closed and AFC was the easier option, then fair enough. But OFC would be the main one for us because we feel that's where we are based and it would make sense to be part of that package a little bit more.
The next one is more like the financial setting. So how are you lot getting funded, basically?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's very difficult just because obviously without any membership like OFC or FIFA, for example, you don't get any you're not members, you don't get funding, you don't get support. So we are very solely reliant on fundraising and sponsorship. So we have a GoFundMe page which is promoted across our social media. And I think it's the 10th day now. So in 10 days we've raised $1,000, about £805, So it's fantastic, really. Like in a short space of time, people are really wanting to help. But it also then means things like equipment. So balls, bibs, cones, all those basics that we take for granted, we don't have. So those need to be supplied as well. So yeah, we're looking for fundraising, donations, sponsorships. That's what we're solely reliant on at the moment, because until we get any form of membership, that's what we have to do.
Okay. And also, like, with the league, is it going to be like, obviously it's going to be amateurs, because there's no way it could be like semi-pro, because I think it's just the standard of the country. It can't be in that financial stability.
Yeah. We amateur based, and obviously we couldn't really ever jump from nothing to professional or even nothing to semi-professional. It would be amateur based, but that's absolutely fine. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? When people play for the fun of the game, and it's the same across all the regions. If we can bring communities together and give the opportunity to do something different and play a different sport, then fantastic. But we know there's people that want to play football. We know there's communities that do play football. It's now just a case of formalising it and making it into a structure, so that it gives us a stronger case then to go to someone like OFC, for example, and say, this is what we've got at the moment. Can you just help us develop it a little bit more?
Okay, and the next one is that, how are you going to get the players?
That's a tough one. Initially we have to look locally, because obviously funding, finances of it, the logistics of it as well. Because getting to the Marshall Islands is difficult in itself. But there's players on Marshall Islands. We that will be fine. It's a case of how we do it. So we're looking into ways that we can do that, and it will come down to when the league is started, for example. That then brings more opportunities to play, because more opportunities to play, more opportunities to be seen, because they're just playing more. Whereas there'll also be things like open trials, open sessions for people that are interested and want to be a part of it. And that might be very large scale, so we need to work out a format for it to do it properly. But that will be a case of it. But then long term, we know that there's Marshallese citizens across different parts of the world. The US has a lot of Marshallese citizens. So long term, it could be a case of, and likely will be a case of, that we have players in different regions that are almost part of like their own group. So there might be an American pool of Marshallese players that then the better players then go to the national camps and stuff like this. But initially, it's going to be very local based and open format to try and see who's interested and see what we can find talent wise.
Okay, and the next one, obviously you're hosting the Micronesia Games.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling like for the country to host it, like a little taster to show people this is what it's going to be about?
Yeah, for the Marshall Islands itself, it's massive because the whole regional games, lots of different countries, nations coming into the Marshall Islands. So one, it's massive for tourism. Two, it's massive for just raising awareness to the nation. Lots of different sports. It's an opportunity to showcase our new venues, because we have the National Stadium, which is usually a track and field stadium, so all the athletics and games can be there. But obviously long-term football as well, so showing that for those facilities. But we also have the new indoor facility as well, which is going to be things like wrestling, for example, and individual sports are going to be based there. So it's a massive opportunity to showcase the islands, the nation, and what we can do with sport. And long term, it'll give us an opportunity to network with loads of different regional countries that, in terms of football, we can then hopefully start to connect with and create fixtures and just gain ideas about how we can support each other and get support from them. Because, for example, like Guam will be part of it, and Guam are a FIFA member. So having their knowledge would be fantastic, and how they could potentially support as well. So, it'd be definitely a good opportunity to network from that event as well.
And also, like, what is the requirements that OFC or FIFA, basically OFC first, because you have to get in there. So what is the requirements, basically, they told you?
To get membership. So, at the moment, it's a little bit, not undecided, but a little bit unknown for us, because there's a lot of protocol, a lot of policies, procedures that need to be followed to get membership. but without making we haven't made initial contact yet in terms of formally with OFC. We've spoken to people from OFC, but not formally in terms of membership. So nothing's really going to be released to us about what we need to do until we get to that point. But we're not really going to approach that point until we have a bit more of a structure and an idea of, well, this is what we do, this is why we're doing it. Can you come and help us? Because the problem is, if we go to them and say we haven't got anything at all, then it might just be easy for them to say no. So we want to make sure that we've got everything in our structured properly our end first, and then we'll be able to approach them, and then we'll be able to find out a little bit more. Because at the moment it's a little bit unknown, but I do know that we're going to need to. There's going to be a lot of different protocols and policies we have to follow first.
Yeah. And also, I heard in your other interviews that you're receiving a lot of application from different coaches, as well. So how's that really feeling? People from around the world want to help.
Oh, it's amazing because I think we're coming into so this will be day 17, I believe, since we officially launched our social media. Okay. And it's been massive in terms of worldwide media attention, so TV, radio, article, podcast, YouTube, everything's been really fantastic. But like you said, we've had people that want to reach out and be coaches, and they want to be players, they want to play in the leagues, they want to be scouts, all these different roles that people want to be part of and help, which is fantastic. I mean, at the moment, we don't have anything for those guys that want to be coaches, for example, because, we have to set the structures in place first. But, long term, that's fantastic. We know that people want to be a part of it. So it's definitely a good sign that we've got, hopefully, a project that is going to be long term and people want to be a part of throughout that whole long-term process.
That's good. And, I think it's a bit selfish for me. How are you feeling, with all of this? I know you're in England and you have to manage to, sort things out in another country that's basically with communication is not really good, basically.
Yeah, so, it's 12 out ahead. So
it's how you're mixing things up, making your plans come across as well. You have to deal with a lot of things.
Yeah, well, the fortunate thing about it is that there's two other guys that will be announced soon, but they are UK based as well. One is working as a media director, the other one's working as communications director, so they do a lot of crossovers between the two, but they're also UK based, which is good because collectively we can just work our end, and then I'm the one that's then sort of forwarding it on to the board in the Marshall Islands to be sort of approved. But it's just a case of it works out well in terms of we have a bit of a 24-hour coverage because we do our end, we do our work here, and by the time we submit it, it might be 9 o'clock at night here, but it's 9 o'clock in the morning then. So they've got all day to work on something and send it back to us or whatever it might be. Yeah. And then so it's hard in terms of pinning down a time to speak like we are now. Yeah. But it's easy in terms of we WhatsApp a lot, we email a lot, we voice note a lot, stuff like that. But it almost makes it nice in the sense of they've got a whole day of working on something, and then by the time they've sent us something to do or we've sent them something to do, the other person's got a whole day to work on it as well because of the time difference. So there's challenges to it, but we're trying to use it to our advantage as much as possible.
Okay, no, that's brilliant. That's actually really good to see a very small country rising up, also someone new in the OFC to really give it really a go, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting and unique project.
And also I can feel the mix with English coaches now going over there. So is that also your part of your plans as well, to really push English coaches also on there as well?
Probably not necessarily just English coaches. I mean, the main focus is to upskill locals so that they can have a bit of a sustainable process. Internally, they can the game can run with Marshallese people running the Marshallese game. Yeah. But we're open to obviously suggestions. So people that want to be part of it, they've reached out from all over the place. I mean, I had a pro licensed coach from Uruguay, for example, that wanted to be part of the program. We've had people from Spain, England,
Wow.
America, Canada, Australia, all over the place wanting to be a part of it. So eventually, it will come down to who's the best fit, regardless of where they're from, but with an aim to still develop those locals to be able to run their own game. But yeah, I mean, definitely the interest we've had from like British coaches, for example, British people, has been fantastic. And I think that's come down to things like this, for example, podcast, YouTube. It's been media, UK media. It's been fantastic that they have really been massively on board at this stage.
Okay, that's great. And also like the island's small and there's only how much? Is it 60,000 people?
Yeah, basically 62,000 Marshallese on the country.
And
so you think it's the size of a small town here in the UK. It's a challenge in itself. So it's good, but it's exciting because it means that we've got something to work with. It'd be good, definitely.
Okay. And just one thing is like, what is the ambition for this for this year and beyond?
Okay, so for long term,
they
want to be FIFA members. They want to be part of the World Cup qualifiers. They want to be part of the Olympic qualifiers. They want to be on the world stage. Like a short, medium term. Like medium term would be like OFC membership. And then in the short term, in the first year, we want to make sure that the children are playing it in schools, children are playing it across the country. We have kit and equipment that people can use. And then we've also got a bit more of an identity across the country of what we do because, like, for example, like a national team. So even if it's a case of we create the national team branding and identity, and then we've got something to start forming like recruitment for players, for example, and then that hits the ground running in 2024, that's absolutely fine because then it gives us time to do it properly.
Yeah.
But the main things for 2023 is to create those structures. So get the plans for a league in place. Make contact with OFC and find out what we need to do. Get children playing, and that's the main thing. Get people playing the sport and really interested in the sport.
Okay, that's brilliant. All I can say is that really, really good luck, doing this.
Thank you.
Obviously, everybody be supported. I'll be supporting it as well. I know it's going to be basically tired, sleepless nights as well, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's part of the excitement because, like, my brain works at 100 miles an hour anyway. Yeah. So then doing this now is fantastic because I have just so many ideas. Like, I want to do this or I want to do that. And it's then a case of, like, we've got a long time to do it. It's fine. We don't need to rush. But, yeah, it's exciting to be a part of. So the sleepless nights are welcome.
I think to like a British person, I think it's a good thing that see a British coach really taking this on as well. Yeah, that's why I'm actually kind of happy that a British coach able to take this on, go to abroad and take this on. So,
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Hopefully we can keep taking it on, and hopefully we have some more developments over time that we can talk about again.
Definitely. All I can say is thank you so much for taking your time out to do this interview.
Problem. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. All I can say is really good luck for this year. Also, the Micronesia's games are coming up as well. So, also, I'm seeing the stadium getting built as well. Beautiful land. I can't lie to you. It's beautiful land next to it. I was like, wow.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, really, really going to be.
I was like, wow. Damn, you've got beautiful scenery. Wow. Definitely. But thank you again so much for doing this.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
Cheers for that. Have a good day, yeah?
And you. Take care, mate.